Thing is, this isn't a blindfold test. I don't expect you to guess what you're drinking. I'll tell you what you're drinking when you're drinking it. Secondly, have any of you drank Jameson before? Yeah. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. If you have, this is our regular one, the 5-year-old. But this one might taste a bit different to what you've drank before. And that is because we've added a drop of water to all 3 of the whiskies. Now that's not done to deprive you of whiskey, it is done to bring out the flavours so you can make a better comparison. And finally, and most importantly, this is not a shot drinking competition. We do have to drink our Jameson, that is the whiskey in the middle, 4 times. So please keep enough Jameson for 4 tastings. Knock back the Scotch and you can knock back the American whiskey, that is not a problem. Just keep enough Jameson for 4 tastings. So I'll get you all to start off with a sip of water there, everyone, just to cleanse the palate. And this is what they have in front of them. They've got 3 different whiskies, Jameson in the middle, Scotch on their left, and the American whiskey is on their right. We are going to begin with our Jameson. So that is the one in the middle. I want you to smell that and have a little taste of it. So, again, what they're drinking is our regular whiskey, the 5-year-old. It is our biggest seller as a brand, and it is also, at present, the world's biggest selling Irish whiskey. Now, when you tasted that, you should have got a honey vanilla taste. Now, that comes from our sherry barrels and the bourbon barrels that we used in maturation. It is also a very, very smooth whiskey. Now, if you're not a whiskey drinker, that's not going to be too obvious, but it will become more apparent as we go on to the other whiskies. So have another drink of water there, everyone. And we're going to go for our Scotch. Before we do you have any Scots here today? From Scotland? No? Good stuff. Do you have any Scotch drinkers? Nobody drinks Scotch. A little bit, we're slowly admitting it here, okay? This Scotch is very successful. It is the world's biggest selling 12-year-old Scotch, premium Scotch. It is Johnny Walker Black Label. That's a blend. Remember the distinctions I was going through? This is a blend. So I'll get you all to smell the Scotch. So that's the one on your left. And when you smell that, you should get a smoky smell. I want you to taste it. And if you couldn't smell the you should definitely be able to taste it. Now after your Scotch, please drink your Jameson. No water if you can, we'll do a direct comparison. These whiskies are quite different, but all I want them to be able to pick up on here is that the Jameson does not have the smoky taste. Did we get that? Yeah? Can anybody remember from our tour, why would a Scotch whiskey have a smoky taste and why would a Jameson whiskey not? The reason why is in Scotland, a lot of distilleries like Johnny Walker light the fire to dry the barley using peat, and we use our smokeless fuel, so that's why we don't have a smoky taste.
From Wales.
In the UK. Not from Wales, the animal, okay? I got asked that before, the mammal, sorry. So if you want to have another drink of water there, Wales, the country in the UK, just so everybody understands that. I did get asked a few years ago if we used whale fat to do it, so I just have to make sure that everybody knows. Okay, so do I have any Americans at the table? Only one. Do I have any other Americans here? There they are. Okay, this American whiskey is the biggest selling American whiskey in the world, as well as the biggest selling whiskey in the world. If you drink alcohol, you've definitely drank this whiskey at one point or another. Can anybody guess which American whiskey this is?
Jack Daniels.
So I'll get you all to smell Jack Daniels. That's whiskey on your right. And when you smell that, you should get quite a sweet smell. Now I want you to taste it. And when you taste the American whiskey, you should get a sweeter taste than you've got off the others. And you should also be able to pick up on a woody flavour as well. So after the American whiskey, let's go back to the Jameson whiskey. Now, these two are polar opposites. It's quite difficult to find similarities between these two. But the biggest differences I want you to focus on are that the American whiskey is sweeter than Jameson, and it has a woody flavour that we don't have. Did you get that? Yeah. Okay, so the American whiskey is sweeter than Jameson because they will use maize or corn, or we use barley, and that is just a naturally sweeter cereal, so it naturally makes their whiskey sweeter. The next bit, I'm going to see if anybody can guess this. Can anybody guess why would the American whiskey have a woody flavour and why does the Jameson whiskey not?
Blue barrel.
The reason why is in the US, once Prohibition ended and the Great Depression ended, there was a law passed that forced American whiskey distilleries to use new barrels to mature their whiskey. And the thinking behind this at the time was to set the cooper industry up in the States and to keep it going. The law has been repealed, it's no longer mandatory, but it does remain common practice, mainly because American whiskey is quite famous for the woody flavour now, but also there are thousands of coopers employed in the States, so there is a big responsibility there as well. In Ireland, we never had any legislation like that. We all had new barrels at the beginning, we all pretty much switched to seasoned barrels. And at Jameson, our combination is the bourbon, sherry and port barrels, and that's why the woody flavour is absent. So I have another drink of water there, everyone. And then I want you to go back to your Jamesons, go back to the whiskey in the middle, and I want you to drink that one last time. So you can knock it back if you want this time, it's not a problem. And did you find that the Jameson whiskey is a bit smoother than the Scotch and a lot smoother than the American whiskey? Take it as a huge yes from everybody. And can anybody remember from our tour, why should Jameson be smoother than a Scotch and smoother than American whiskey? The reason why is Jameson is triple distilled, the Scotch has been distilled twice, and the American whiskey has been distilled once. So you come to the whiskey tasting. You seemed like 8 highly intelligent people so far. This next question is going to determine the levels of intelligence, so please brace yourselves, okay? I'm going to ask every single one of you to pick your favourite of those 3 whiskeys. What I want you to do is I want you to place your favourite whiskey out of those 3 at the top of your mat. Now please do not be intimidated by the fact you're in the Jameson bar and the Jameson distillery, or that I've been shouting at you for the last 40 minutes about Jameson. Be perfectly honest, your favourite whiskey out of those 3, and just push it to the top of your mat. Favourite? Okay, okay, so we've got Jameson, come back to you, Jameson, back to you, Jameson, and back to you. So we've got 3 incorrect answers here today. So, your name is?
Spuddy Malloy.
Spuddy, there we go. You picked the Scotch. Over here, Sonia, is it? You picked the American. Nicola, is it?
Yeah, for the Scotch whiskey.
The Scotch, okay. So the 3 of you failed the test here. You're going to come back down to reception, repeat that inspirational tour again. Right, the 3 of you could tell me your second favourite whiskey on the map there. Is the second best? Spidey's got it. Sonia's got it. And Nicola's got it. There we go. So that is 5 out of 8 correct answers. The other 3 got there in the end, so give them all a big round of applause. Most of you did okay. I'm going to run away for a second. I have a little surprise, so I need you to stay here. And if anybody's friends or family watching them nice and drunk up here, you're more than welcome to take one of their whiskey from them, drink it yourselves.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you ever sell your unblended, like your sherry casks? Do you ever sell Jamesons like that?
We always mix them together.